Greetings all. An agreement was reached over this weekend, a global agreement which should enable the legislature to conduct its business in the next week and leave town on time. The deal closes the state's $627 million budget deficit through the fiscal year 14 and 16 without budget gimmicks and achieves long-term structural balance through fiscal years 16 and 17. The fix that they came up with repays all the money borrowed from Minnesota schools in the next 2 years. The deal also makes a significant investment in education, $475 million in E-12 education and an additional $250 million in higher education. That's above the base. And as Peg will tell you in a minute, what we're hoping for now that the negotiations are going on between the House and Senate is that most of that money will end up on the formula and allow for the district to have a great deal of discretion as to how it's spent. The deal also provides $400 million in property tax relief. I'm not sure of the mechanics of that yet. The mechanism for paying most of this is an increase of 2% on the income tax of Minnesotans, families with incomes in excess of $250 million. That is my understanding. The transportation package is still out, so the quarter-cent possibly tax or an increase in the gas tax is still being discussed, and no deal has been reached on that. And it's not clear from the information I have whether or not the cigarette or alcohol tax is part of that package. It was unclear about that. So again, with 7 days remaining, the conference committees now have what they need to cut their individual deals and get out of town on time by hopefully midnight next Monday. So at this point, the only other thing I'd like to cover is we're working closely with Carla Nelson on our concerns about how the anti-bullying legislation would be a significant unfunded mandate for the Rochester public school system, as well as some other local control features which Peg Larson will discuss in her segment, which is next. Thank you very much.
Hello, this is Peg Larson and John Call giving you our weekly update. The Conference Committee on Education, Finance and Policy finally started to meet on Thursday. They went through the walkthrough, and then on Friday they met again and they talked about all-day K. And some of the questions that came up was if a parent decided that they only wanted half-day kindergarten, as it says in the bill, and you only had one or two parents who wanted that option, would a school have to provide it? So they're still working on the answer to that. Then they also were talking about if a child came in for half a day on an all-day K program, would they be considered truant? And they decided that yes, they would be. So if a parent was going to put their child in kindergarten, it would have to be for an all-day program. Then they also talked about testing and the fact that they are doing away with the grad test, and that they are looking at other tests in 3rd, 8th, and 11th grade that are more career-oriented or job-oriented. There will no longer be a cut point and a cut score, and a lot of people think that's a really good idea. They're a little concerned that people are going to think that they're lowering the bar, but they feel that this actually gives students a better opportunity to decide where their talents lie. And if you think that's what we did when we were in school, we got our grades and either we passed or we didn't. And the way they're setting this up, it'll be a long-term program, and they're hoping to have zero dropout rate by 2027. So we'll see if that's a lofty goal or if that's something that they can come close to achieving. And then they also talked about a little bit about integration and achievement, but they just glossed over that. They were meeting behind closed doors to decide the policy and going through it line by line with the people that were involved with the bills that are in the bill, the authors of the bills. And we're waiting to hear if they get targets, and then it will go, I think, at a very fast rate to put everything together. And as I said before, it all rests on the tax bill because the money that's raised in the tax bill is the money that they will use to fund all-day kindergarten, and for the House, they want to totally pay back the shift. The Senate does not, and that's one of their biggest sticking points. The Safe and Supportive School Bill, or known as the Anti-Bullying Bill, has passed both houses, the House and the Senate. We are concerned as to the cost and the impact on the Rochester School District. I know John has talked to Senator Nelson about possibly trying to get some amendments in the conference committee, and I talked to Senator Nelson myself in making exceptions for the school districts that are cities of the first class, because there are so many different aspects to deal with so many different students and schools. We'll see how that shakes out. I know that John is working with Senator Nelson and really trying to get that pushed through. Then there are a couple provisions in the actual bill that would definitely impact Rochester. In the side-by-side, in the Senate side, Senator Nelson was able to get in that a school district could authorize and allocate up to 15% of the compensatory revenue among the school sites. In the House side of the bill, it says that they can use 5% of compensatory on early education. So that's going to be a point that they'll be discussing, and I'm sure negotiating over. Another piece is the lease purchase installment plans. In the Senate and in the House, they clarify that the 4 top school districts, first-class cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Duluth, and Rochester may continue to use their lease purchase levy if their desegregation plans have been approved by the commissioner. And that is probably a big deal, and I think that it's part of the integration piece that is actually quite interesting. They're coming up with a whole new formula for integration, and I think it'll probably be beneficial to Rochester in the long run. And then the piece on the gifted and talented students is only in on the Senate side, and it expands guidance to districts for gifted and talented programs to include groups traditionally unrepresented in the gifted and talented student population. And there's nothing about gifted and talented on the House side. We know that local control is extremely important, and we've been working on that with Senator Nelson, and especially Senator Nelson, since she sits on the Education Committee. The compensatory, as far as the 15%, we are hoping, we are pushing very hard to get that accepted into the House language so that you can have some local control there. And as far as per pupil formula, that is local control. And the House raises the formula both in 14 and 15, whereas the Senate only raises it in 14. And the amounts are vastly different. So we're pushing for the House amount so that you can have more money on the formula from which you can do your budgets. And then the other piece that is extremely important is the lease purchase levy, and allowing Rochester and the other 3 cities of the first-class school districts to be able to use that as long as their desegregation plan is approved by the commissioner. Now, that's not total local control, but it's better than what they had originally come up with. We will continue to push on your part for more local control as the bill goes forward, and keep you informed. Thank you.